The United States exported 2.5 billion bushel of corn last year, but Mexico's president wants to ban U.S. corn.
Mexico's President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said he would not allow GMO corn to be imported into the country starting next year.
Millions of tons of U.S. corn are being rejected at ports, while Canada quietly locks in billion-dollar deals with buyers the U.S. once dominated. No warnings, no forecasts, just a clear shift in power. Corn, once a symbol of American agricultural might, is losing ground as buyers turn north. So, why is U.S. corn being turned away? And why is Canadian corn suddenly in such high demand? This isn't just about corn. It's about trade strategy and silent moves reshaping North America's agricultural map. Canada has recently secured major contracts with markets like Japan, South Korea, and the EU, longtime buyers of American grain. These partners now trust Canada's quality standards and stable trade terms. Cornfields in Ontario and Quebec, wheat in Saskatchewan, oats in Manitoba, barley in Alberta. Canadian farms are finally getting breathing room after years of cutthroat competition. Meanwhile, many U.S. fields are quiet. Machinery sits idle, corn withers under the sun, and once thriving regions like Iowa and Indiana face an eerie standstill. Unpredictable trade policies and retaliatory measures have slowed exports, giving Canada an opening. Corn prices in the Midwest have dropped to around $3.45 per bushel, the lowest since 2016, while production costs hover near $4. For many farmers, that means harvesting at a loss or letting crops rot. This price crash ripples far beyond the fields, squeezing rural economies, cutting jobs, and straining supply chains. Small towns feel it in empty stores and shuttered equipment shops. Even USDA food programs and school meal plans in rural states are tightening their belts. Indigenous communities facing food insecurity could be hit hardest as grain supplies grow more unstable. Analysts point to several causes: weak export demand, leftover stockpiles, and fierce competition from Brazil and Argentina. Canada may be winning for now, but without investing in sustainable farming and infrastructure, that lead could vanish just as fast. For now, one thing is clear. Corn's quiet crisis is a wake-up call for North American agriculture, and the choices made today could shape the region's future for years to come. Looking at the numbers, the U.S. is still the world's top corn producer, with about 15 billion bushels a year, roughly 380 million metric tons. Historically, around 20 to 30% of this has been exported to buyers like China, Mexico, and Japan. But when export deals stall or fall through, that surplus doesn't just push domestic prices down, it can ripple through global markets. This has some wondering if North America's agricultural power is slowly shifting north. Could this be an early sign of a deeper realignment? So, what's shaking the U.S. corn market? One major factor is the new tariff on ships made in China. Intended to cut reliance on foreign tech, it's instead driving up domestic transport costs. Shipping costs through the Gulf of Mexico have jumped about 25%, adding nearly $1 billion a year. Farmers and small agribusinesses are feeling the squeeze. Meanwhile, shipping a container across the Pacific has doubled to about $5,000 in just 2 months, pushing buyers in Asia and Latin America to look at Brazil, Argentina, or Canada instead. Tighter export inspections are adding to the strain. In 2025, the Federal Grain Inspection Service raised pesticide testing fees by about 40%. While meant to protect food safety, it's causing delays. Any shipment that fails inspection can be rejected mid-transit. Hundreds of grain ships have been stuck at the port of New Orleans, turning it into a giant floating warehouse. By early June, over 180 ships were waiting to unload, clogging up deliveries. For farmers in Iowa or Indiana, even a week's delay can mean a loss of 27 cents a bushel. For a mid-size farm, that's about $54,000 gone in just 2 weeks. The impact goes beyond the fields. In small towns across the Midwest, farm equipment dealers, gas stations, and diners all report fewer customers and tighter spending. One dealer near Des Moines said last year he sold 4 sets of track wheels. This year, not even one. And as global buyers demand better traceability and reliability, U.S. corn risks losing its reputation as a dependable option. Some Canadian growers see an opening. If American exports keep faltering, provinces like Manitoba or Alberta could fill the gap. A key turning point came in February 2025 when Mexico, a major buyer, banned genetically modified corn imports. Japan, South Korea, and parts of Europe have followed with tighter rules on GMO crops and traceability. For the U.S., where over 90% of corn is GMO, that's a big blow. Many analysts say Canada has been quietly preparing for this shift, focusing on cleaner, more transparent production. The question now, can Canada turn this moment into a chance to surpass the U.S.? One of the biggest changes is the Prairie Trace system, a blockchain platform that lets buyers track agricultural products from seed to export. Now, international buyers don't have to rely on marketing claims. They can see exactly where corn was grown, who handled it, and how it was processed. Non-GMO certification, low-carbon standards, and full supply chain transparency now often matter more than price alone. Experts say Canada doesn't need to grow more corn, just cleaner and more transparently. Since early 2025, major contracts from Japan, South Korea, and the EU have shifted from the U.S. to Canada, with total deals estimated in the billions. Canada's prices are catching attention too. While U.S. Midwest corn is selling for around $3.45 per bushel, the lowest since 2016, Canadian corn from provinces like Manitoba or Saskatchewan is fetching about $4.20 per bushel. That's a 75-cent premium, or roughly 22% higher. For a Saskatchewan farmer harvesting 150,000 bushels, that price difference means an extra $112,500 in revenue. For bigger farms, the gains are even larger. This price gap isn't about yield or production cost, where the U.S. has usually excelled. It's driven by demand from premium buyers who want traceability, non-GMO status, and carbon certification, areas where Canada is ahead. Canada's investment in carbon tracking and a stable logistics network has built trust with global buyers, especially as the U.S. deals with supply chain issues, policy shifts, and trade disputes. For prairie farmers, this could be the moment their push for higher standards finally pays off. Meanwhile, the U.S. ethanol industry, once a main driver of corn demand, is losing ground. Ethanol plants are now running at only about 87.8% of capacity, down from an average of 95% before 2020. Since early 2025, at least 25 plants in the Midwest have temporarily closed. Others have cut shifts, and some are selling off equipment for the first time in decades. Thousands of workers in states like Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota now face job losses. Less ethanol means less corn demand. Corn inventories in top states are hitting their highest levels since 2016, and spot prices have dropped to around $3.45 per bushel, too low for many farmers to break even. Some are choosing not to plant at all, knowing more corn would just drive prices lower. It's a tough cycle. When ethanol doesn't sell, corn piles up. When corn piles up, prices fall further, making it harder for ethanol plants to stay open. The fallout goes beyond cornfields. Ethanol once helped keep rural economies alive, especially after the 2007 renewable fuel standard made bioethanol a staple in gasoline. But demand has slid due to more electric vehicles and changing energy policies. As a result, corn prices in the Midwest this May-June fell to $3.45 per bushel, down from $5.80 to $6.10 in 2022, and far below the typical $4.20 to $4.70 before 2019. A $2 drop per bushel can wipe out hundreds of dollars in profit per acre. In key farm states like Iowa or Illinois, the supply chain, from farm to silo, silo to ethanol plant, then to port, is breaking down. Corn is piling up at silos instead of moving to plants or ships. Some contracts are delayed or canceled. At Great Lakes ports, corn exports are down over 30% year over year. One Nebraska plant that once used hundreds of thousands of bushels per month has been idle since Q2. The ripple effect is clear. Truck drivers, plant workers, and local businesses are all feeling it. Many farmers who once sold corn within days of harvest now wait weeks just to find a buyer, often selling at a loss. Some wonder if this is just a temporary slump or a sign that America's approach to energy, trade, and rural policy needs a reset. For now, one thing is clear. When corn stops moving, it's not just farmers who feel it. The entire rural economy does too. This was just the beginning. Hit that subscribe button and buckle up. Digital Garage has so much more in store.